Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Rob's Rig. So as I'm out here cruising around in the Jeep Wrangler, I started thinking, who is Jeep really building these things for anyway? The Jeep Wrangler, particularly the four-door, right? And I know if you look it up, because I've done this before, it's going to say that it's for the off-road community or the buyer that wants to take the Jeep off-road and experience either camping or off-road trails, things like that. Now, there is a percentage of people that buy them for that, obviously. However, if you do a search, you'll find that the people that actually put their Jeep or any four-wheel drive vehicle into four-wheel drive is about 6% or so, maybe even 4. Let's say 4 to 6%, and that's it. So that means that, 94% never put their Jeep into four-wheel drive. And every Jeep, I think now, used to be you could get a two-wheel drive Jeep, but I think now every Jeep comes with four-wheel drive. So that means there's an awful lot of them out there that are never used for that. And speaking of four-wheel drive, did you know that once a month you're supposed to engage four-wheel drive so that you can keep everything lubricated and functioning properly? And you're supposed to drive for something like 10 miles or something like that, just to make sure that you keep everything working properly. Now, I'm betting you that there are a lot of people out there who never do that. And it's kind of why you have to be a little careful, I think, in the used market. If you're buying a used Jeep, you probably have to go in knowing that you may have, and there's probably a high probability, you may have some sort of issue with the four-wheel drive system eventually because it was never engaged. So just something to be aware of. Now, how do you put your Jeep into four-wheel drive if you don't go off-road? Well, for me, I find a straightaway like I'm on right now, and I would go ahead, put it into four-wheel high, and just drive. And then when I get to the end of whatever this straightaway is, I'll just go ahead and shift back to too high, I guess. And I do that, I guess, as an attempt to keep everything functioning properly. I don't know that I believe you have to drive for 10 miles. I think maybe a mile or two is probably all you really need, because that gets everything circulating and functioning, right? Anyway, just a little tidbit about the four-wheel drive community and system. So who do they build these things for? Well, I think they build them for the people that want something a little more rugged, that love the idea of going off-road and going camping and stuff, even though when push comes to shove, they're not probably going to do that. But still, the want or the ability to be able to do it is attractive to a lot of people. And if I'm being honest, it's attractive to me. I like having a 4x4 that I know is capable, that if for some reason I ever wanted to take it off-road or needed to take it off-road, let's say there's some kind of natural disaster or something, and I know the chances of that probably pretty slim, but nonetheless, never say never. And of course, the old adage is it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I think there's a lot of that out there for certain buyers. The looks of it, there is nothing more unique, even though there are so many of them on the road, than a Jeep Wrangler or a Jeep in general. You're never going to mistake a Jeep for something else, right? I mean, when you're driving down the road and one's coming at you, you see that front end and you know it's a Jeep. And I think a lot of people like that. The simplicity of it, even though there is a lot of tech and stuff in everything these days, including the Jeep Wrangler, it's still really pretty basic. I mean, we've got a hood that's held down by a latch on each side, pretty simple to access. We've got a hood that folds all the way back against the windshield. You can take everything off, and that's my next point. You can take everything off and experience the open air, right? It's pretty cool to do that. I got to admit, I don't do it often enough, primarily because I don't like having to screw around and store the bits and pieces when I take them off. And if you decide to go completely naked in the Jeep, or for the Jeep, You typically would need help to get the back part off. Maybe not because you can't lift it, but because it's cumbersome. And the last thing you want to do is drop that top part, and I'm talking about the bigger part behind me, and bust out a window or crack the material that it's made of, plastic, fiberglass, composite, whatever it is these days. I actually had one of the Freedom panels up here in the front that I took off and I stored because I put the Sunrider soft top on. And then when I sold the Jeep, I actually took that off because back then I used it on the next one. And when I pulled it out from under a bed I was storing it at, or in, I noticed that the corner of it had chipped off. So they are rather fragile, I guess. I guess the ride of it is another reason people buy this. There is, or are, a lot of people out there who prefer, I guess, a more aggressive ride. They want to feel the road. They like the bumps and stuff. Can't say I'm a big fan of that myself these days, but the Jeep Wrangler kind of has a good mix of that, really. I mean, on most roads, you really don't even notice all of the bumps and things. Now, on a really rough road, particularly with these mud terrains I have, I would notice it. But otherwise, it's a pretty good compromise between, I think, excellent or good road quality or road feel, and still enough left that you can tell that you're in something that's not, you know, a Lexus or a Cadillac or something like that. I would prefer that it was as smooth as those, but still capable. But that's probably a sign of old age. I don't know. Lastly, the moddability of it. You know, that's one of the big reasons that I go back to Jeep, is because I can customize it and make it my own, and I can do it myself. You know, I don't have to depend on a shop. I don't have to go to a shop. Most things out there, unless you get into, you know, really complicated stuff, is bolt-on. You can do it yourself. A few rudimentary tools in the garage, and you can be changing bumpers and adding hood struts and cold air intakes. And speaking of cold air intakes, I do have one in this Jeep. I get questions occasionally when I make these kind of videos. People can hear the Jeep. Why does your Jeep sound throatier or more aggressive than mine? Well, it's because of the air raid cold air intake, and I'm not sponsored by those people or anything. I just think it's the best one for the Jeep when it comes to sound. Gives you a nice kind of throaty growl, if you will, when you get on the accelerator, but not droney or anything like exhaust can be. And I've had exhausts in the past. I'll never do it again. Every one that I've put on, first of all, didn't match the Jeep, I don't think, but they were always too tinny kind of sounding and droney on the freeway. And there's nothing worse for me than driving down the freeway and having to crank the radio because the exhaust is so loud. I mean, why'd you put it on to begin with, right? But the exhaust is so loud that you can't stand it. Kind of drives me nuts. Anyway, those are kind of the folks that buy them a lot, or buy the Jeep Wrangler. I think it's kind of trying to make a middle ground appeal, if you will, on Jeep's part. And I think it works for them because, especially down here where I'm at, you see a lot of Jeep Wranglers, particularly two-doors, although the Gladiators are certainly out there as well. But you see a lot of them on the road, so there goes one right now. You see a lot, of course that was an SUV, but you see a lot of them on the road, and obviously Jeep's doing something right to be able to charge what they charge and have people coming back to them. Leave a comment, let me know, what kind of Jeep driver are you? And why did you buy it? I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.